Today, a trip to the ballpark means hot dogs, team jerseys, and cheering as loud as you want. It's simple. But imagine going back to the 1950s. For a woman, a day at the game could feel like navigating a social minefield. The era was governed by strict, unwritten rules of etiquette, and the ballpark was no exception. Every little detail, from how she clapped to what was in her handbag, was part of a public performance of her grace and character. These are the 15 unspoken ideals every woman was expected to aim for at a 1950s ballgame. In the mid-century world, gloves were a key symbol of middle-class respectability. While it was no longer shocking to be seen without them, for a woman aiming for a truly polished look, gloves were an essential part of her public-facing uniform. A trip to the ballpark was often treated as a proper outing. She'd typically wear short, white cotton wrist-length gloves, not just as an accessory, but as a sign of refinement. Gloves kept a lady's hands pristine and signaled that she was there as a spectator, a woman of leisure. For many, leaving the house without them would feel like being underdressed. While women were starting to wear trousers and capri pants for very casual activities, a public event like a ball game still called for something more traditionally feminine. In the 50s, the ideal silhouette was all about a cinched waist with either a full, swinging skirt or a sleek pencil skirt. The ballpark was a stage, and the costume was dresses and skirts, often in a cheerful cotton print for a sunny afternoon. It wasn't a written rule, but it projected an image of wholesome elegance that was the decade's gold standard. Hats weren't just for weddings. They were a regular part of a woman's daily look. And while going bareheaded was becoming more common in casual settings, a hat was the perfect finishing touch for a truly put-together outfit. We're not talking about huge, dramatic creations. For a daytime game, a woman might wear a small pillbox hat or a jaunty capulet. The hat was often chosen to harmonize with her gloves and handbag, completing a look that signaled impeccable taste. Forget the wild, screaming crowds of today. The 1950s ideal for a woman was to remain composed, even during a game-winning home run. Etiquette manuals and charm schools of the era emphasized grace and restraint above all else. Enthusiastic support was best expressed with polite, gloved applause, a bright smile, or a gentle, "Oh, how wonderful." Of course, women have always been passionate fans, but the pressure was on to be a supportive, charming presence, not a loud-mouthed superfan. You wouldn't have seen a sea of oversized jerseys or foam fingers in a 1950s grandstand. A stylish woman showed her team spirit with sophistication. If she supported a team with blue and white, she might wear a navy blue dress accented with a crisp white hat and gloves. Or she might choose a scarf with a pattern that subtly incorporated the team's colors. It was all about hinting at her allegiance with a coordinated, elegant look, not shouting it with logos. We might throw on sneakers for a game today, but comfort was often a secondary concern to correctness back then. For many 1950s women, a polished outfit required a smart, low pump or a sturdy, stacked heel, even if that meant navigating concrete steps and gravel paths. While casual flats and loafers certainly existed, the fashion before comfort mentality was powerful. Sacrificing a bit of ease for the sake of a perfect silhouette was a trade-off many women were willing to make. A woman's handbag wasn't just a catch-all tote. It was a small, structured part of her ensemble, packed with the essentials for maintaining her poise. Inside, you'd find a powder compact for touching up any unladylike shine, a tube of lipstick, a clean handkerchief, and a small coin purse. It was a curated kit, ready to be deployed to ensure her polished look never faltered, from the first pitch to the last. We love digging up the forgotten rules that shape generations. Back when girdles and structured undergarments were designed to create that perfect hourglass figure, good posture was heavily encouraged. A lady was expected to sit with a straight back, her knees together, and her handbag placed neatly on her lap. This wasn't just about looking elegant. It was taught as a sign of discipline and self-control. It signaled that she was a woman of good breeding who understood the importance of a poised public appearance. While it was becoming more common for women to go out with female friends, the social ideal, especially for a younger, unmarried woman, often involved being escorted by a beau or husband. This wasn't strictly about safety, but social tradition. Being escorted was part of the ritual of courtship and a reflection of the era's social structures, where a woman's public life was often linked to her male companion. While men might have been enjoying hot dogs dripping with mustard, a woman was often more mindful of her food choices. Public dining was a performance of grace. She might opt for foods that could be eaten cleanly, without risking a spill on her dress or gloves. Critically, glove etiquette dictated that a lady always removed her gloves before eating or drinking. It was all about avoiding any action that could be seen as undignified. The glamorous, perfected face was the beauty ideal of the 1950s. While not every woman followed it to the letter, there was strong cultural pressure to never be seen in public without her face on. This typically meant foundation, powder, a bit of blush, defined brows, and of course, lipstick. The makeup wasn't meant to look natural. It was meant to look flawless and last through an afternoon game, with only minor touch-ups from her handbag. One of the sharpest style rules of the decade was the art of coordination. A woman's accessories weren't supposed to be identical, but they had to harmonize. A navy blue hat might be paired with navy shoes, but her handbag could be a contrasting white or beige to match her gloves. This thoughtful coordination was a clear sign of good taste. It showed her outfit was a carefully composed statement, not just a random collection of clothes. Being a good sport was just an extension of having good manners. While her loyalty was clear, a truly gracious woman was expected to show respect for the opposing team. This might mean offering polite applause for a fantastic play by a rival player. This gesture wasn't about faking allegiance. It was about demonstrating her own fair-minded character and reinforcing her image as a pleasant and agreeable companion. Even though many women were passionate and knowledgeable fans, the famous song "Take Me Out to the Ballgame" is about a female fan who knew all the players and argued with the ump. The social dynamic was tricky. It was often considered more feminine for a woman to let her male companion take the lead in explaining the game's finer points. Flaunting deep strategic knowledge could be seen as unladylike. So many women played the part of the interested but casual observer. Ultimately, all these informal rules added up to one big message. A woman's appearance at a ball game was a carefully built signal of her social standing, her respectability, and often, her husband's success. Her coordinated outfit, poised demeanor, and graceful reactions were all part of a performance of the era's ideal femininity. The ballpark, for all its noise, was just another stage for the unspoken social language of the 1950s. From the perfect placement of a hat to the polite, gloved applause, the experience of a 1950s ballgame for many women was a masterclass in social codes. It was often less about the sport itself and more about performing elegance in a public space. These unwritten rules created an ideal of respectability that helped define a generation. We may have traded the girdles and gloves for comfort and jerseys, but there's a certain lost art to that kind of meticulous presentation. Which of these rules surprised you the most?